all about management theories. Okay, so for starters, I'll be taking you through some key definition of key words, like what is a theory. And in my previous lecture, we introduced, or I also defined it, what is management. So, but even today, we can briefly remind ourselves what is all about in management. So, if I start to define what is a theory, uh, a theory refers to a careful thought, or it refers to an idea that is used to account for a situation or a justification or a course of action that we expect people to, or that we expect a theory to be in position to elaborate and explain to us what is all about. Then in some other scholars, or to some other scholars, they defined a theory as a carefully throughout or a thought out explanation for an observation or observations of the natural world that has been constructed using scientific methods, and which brings together with many facts and hypotheses. When we look at hypothesis, this is a proposed explanations that is made on the basis of limited evidence as a starting point for the investigation. So in simple terms, a theory refers to a system of ideas that is intended to explain something, especially on a based general principles independent of the things to be explained. So we expect at the end of the day that theories must set for us principles which the practice of activity is based on. To take you furthermore on what is management, is that management previously we looked at that it is according to Mary Parker. She defined management that it is the art of getting things done through people. So we expect that action has to be met, or we need to take action of measuring a quantity on a regular basis, and also adjusting something in the initial plan. All the actions that are taken to reach out to one is intended goals. But furthermore, when we look at the management theories, we expect that they are a collection of ideas that are recommended, or that we recommend generally, in terms of rules of how to manage an organization, or how managers will use these theories to manage their organizations. Furthermore, when we also look at the management theory, they are supposed to address how supervisors implement strategies to accomplish organizational goals, and as well as to motivate employees to perform their highest ability. More to that, we also expect that leaders also apply these concepts from different management theories that are best to suit their employees and the company's culture. So they are also supposed to create management theories. Also, they help us to create, or they were created a century ago, which helped us to still provide and to feel more from them, which gives us to work as team in the working places today. Uh, Further still, how do these theories benefit us? Well, like we defined it, theories and management, we believe that these theories benefit us in the following ways. Number one, they benefit leaders to learn how to make the most of their team members and also improving on the performance of the employees as well as increasing productivity of employees in the working environment. Further still, they also benefit us in a way of speeding up the decision making process and as well as also helping those leaders to be more efficient in terms of their rules and as well as their responsibilities. And furthermore, it also benefits us in a way that leaders learn how to encourage the team members and also participate and also increase collaboration in their workplace. So all in all, encouragement is needed, which is made by the leaders to their team members to help them to participate and also increases collaboration in the working environment. And further still, or lastly, is that the management theories also benefits us or benefits, they're also beneficial in a way that they increase objectivity. In this aspect is that members don't have to be subjective to a matter, but they have to be objective in various angles so that they are encouraged by leaders to make scientifically proven changes rather than relying on their judgment, which is subjective, but they look at more other scientific theories which can help them to change their narratives or their thoughts. So when we look at the types of management theory, what are they? They are categorized into three theories. For example, when we talk about the classical theories are categorized into scientific management theory. Number two, we also have administrative management theory. Number three, we have bureaucratic management theory. Number four, we have classical organization theory and Hawthorne studies, which we shall later see in the next slides. When we also look at other management theories, we have the behavior theories. With the behavior theories, we have human relation theories, and we also have behavior science theory. Lastly is the management theories. Lastly is the modern theories. In the modern theories, we are having quantitative theory, we also have systems theory, and we lastly have contingency theory. Well, there are many other theories, but for today's lecture, we shall focus on those three categorization of theory that we really feel like we need to understand more, and how do managers or leaders need to apply these theories. Well, to start with, we shall look at a scientific management theory. What is a scientific management theory? A scientific management theory was developed or discovered by Frederick Tyrer, and he was one of the first, or it was one of the first of the study to look at the performance scientifically of employee. Well, in Tyler's discovery, he said that this is a theory where we expect that managers, they need to have a scientific management, or they need to observe the workplace and test the method of completing tasks, and as well as analyzing the effect of the change. Well, Tyler also furthermore recommended that his theory, it had principles that we should use when we are performing work or when we are given a task. Okay, he opposes that, or he as it is opposed that leaders rely so much on their judgment or on their personal discretion of team members. He further recommended that if we want to simplify the tasks, one has to increase productivity, whereby leaders assign team members to jobs that are best matches with their abilities, or jobs that matches with their competences, and also train them throughout or thoroughly and supervise to make sure that they are efficiently, or they are efficient in role. Okay, so more to that, we feel like this scientific theory, we look at that it focuses on achieving maximum workplace efficiency by providing the optimum way of or to accomplish a task, using or looking at a way how tasks are supposed to be useful, and also it also ignores the humanity of individuals. The theory, furthermore, is not practiced in the match today, based on the demonstration that leaders are looking at the importance of the workplace efficiency, but rather we look at the value of team members receiving training, and also teamwork that has to be between the supervisors and then the employees. How do we apply this? How we apply this is very simple. We apply it in a way that employees should be trained, or we should invest in employees training, whereby Tyler suggested that if we invest in employees training, we can boost the employees productivity by observing work processes and then creating policies recommending the best practice or mechanism that we can put in place such that employees can be productive. He also proposed that if we invest in training the employees to be more effective in their roles, it will generally find out that when we boost their productivity, we also improve on the overall, on the job performance. So meaning that they gain more skills, which will help them to perform more better. The second theory is the theory which is called administrative theory under classical theory. So this theory was developed by Henry Fayol, who was a scholar he was a scholar and as well as the engineer in France. So Henry Fayol was an executive. He was a senior executive and a mining engineer who developed this theory. And in his discovery, he examined an organization through the perspective of managers and the situation that they might encounter. He believed that leaders must have 6 functions: to forecast, to plan, to coordinate, to command, to control, and develop principles that should also outline how leaders should organize and interact with their teammates or with their employees. Further still, he also suggested that this principle should not be rigid, but rather it should be left up to the manager to determine how they use them to manage efficiently and effectively. So with him, he discovered that if one wants everything to be very good in a working environment, he recommended the following 14 principles. Principle number 1 is the principle of what we call the initiative. Well, this principle of initiative, it is a principle according to him that refers to the level of freedom that is given to employees, which should have to carry out their responsibilities without being forced or without being forced. Okay, so employees shouldn't be commanded, shouldn't be forced, shouldn't be ordered on what they are supposed to do or what is meant to be their responsibilities. So to managers, we expect that they are supposed to follow one of these principles to initiate on what employees are supposed to do in a working environment. The second principle is equity. Equity, this is a principle that implies that everyone in the organization should be treated equally, and that should be in an environment of kindness. We shouldn't have issues in account of race, gender, ethnicity, socioeconomic status, and etc. and etc. If we are looking in a working environment or in the organization, there has to be that employees should be treated the same. Principle number 3, according to Henry, he says that we look at the scholar chain. So with the scholar chain, this is the principle that says that there should be a chain of supervision from the top level of management to the lower level of management, whereby if communication is made, the flow or the communication has to flow from the top management to the bottom management. And he also emphasized that there is no hard rule regarding the communication process through the chain of command. So he really emphasizes that when communication is done, there has to be the chain of command where the communication flow channel should be arranged from the top management to the bottom management. Principle number 4 is the remuneration of personnel. There is nobody who works and does not be or is not motivated for the work that he has done. So under this principle, it refers to that we need to look at the assertions that there should be both monetary and non-monetary remuneration based on the performance level the of individuals that should create bond between the employees and the organization. Okay, so non-monetary issues, we are looking at other incentives that can be given to people basing on their performance. Even a word of appreciation is also being recommended to be given to individuals, because at the end of the day, employees feel appreciated for their effort and the time they have done or they have spent in a working organization. Furthermore, we also have what we call unity of direction. This is the principle that asserts that there should only be one manager per department. We shouldn't have in a unit to have more than one manager. So we should have one manager per department who has to be in charge of coordinating the group activity to attain a single goal. Okay, so that at the end of the day, the unit of direction might be shown to employees where you are directing them to go in a wrong process or in a wrong run to achieve to a common goal, or sorry, a single goal. So furthermore, we also have another principle that looks at discipline. According to Henry Fayol, he says that this is the principle that should focus so much on employees that they should be respectful, obedient to one another, okay? And they should also look at the organization that should outline the rules and regulations that should clarify the rules and even the good supervisions, and as well as the rewards of punishment system in a working environment. Even if you don't believe in something that probably maybe you feel like you don't believe in something that I do, but if we come to work in the same environment, there has to be rules that must both govern us together in a way that we need to conduct ourselves and work in a respective and peaceful manner, be obedient to one another, as well as following the organization rules. So if anybody breaks the rule, then there has to be a punishment according to what we expect to somebody who has misbehaved. So the next principle is what we call the division of work. This is a principle according to Henry, where he recommends that he asserts that there has to be the overall action of management that should be divided, and that the team members should be given responsibilities based on their skills and based on their interests to make more effective and more efficient. So in simple terms, we should divide work according to the team members or according to individuals' responsibilities and according to their skills as well. Because sometimes you may give work to people who may not have the skills of the work that you are giving them to do. So further still, we also have authority and responsibility. According to him, he says that there should be a balance between authority, the right to give the commands and to make decisions, and as well as to those who are responsible for those for those who are responsible to do or to make the decisions. So they should also be obligated, or the obligation of an employee to perform a tasks as they are designated to them or as they are assigned to them. We should have authority that has to be made in the working environment. And the command, a person who makes a command, probably he's a supervisor to the employees. We expect him that he needs also to be or to make decisions and as well as look at the responsibilities of what each individuals or employees are supposed to do, and even look at the tasks that are supposed to be done by the employees. And even when he is assigning the tasks, he should make sure that he address them to the right individuals, because they are the ones that are responsible for those activities or tasks to be performed. Further still, we also have what we call unity of command. This refers to the assertion that employees must make or must get orders from only one immediate supervisor and should also be accountable for that only one person. So there has to be a unity whereby command has to be seen coming from one immediate supervisor who is supervising the employees. Furthermore, we have subordination of individuals' interests to general interest. Fayol here says that there must be harmony between the interest of the individual and also the organization. Although organizational interests should be given priority since it brings rewards for the individuals. Much as we individuals, we may have our own personal interests, interest even in terms of goals to achieve if we are working in that environment. But we should make sure that we put the organization interest, we give it a priority, because after all, we receive money or rewards from the organizations. More to that, we have centralization. Fayol says that this is where we are looking at the topmost level authority that should be centralized to the top level of management. whereby we need to look at who has the power to make the most important decision in an organization. The one who has the power then needs to make sure that he's the one who has to make the authority to the management level. So further still, we have another point which is called order. In this principle, Raphael says that for an organization to run in a smoothly way, the right person must be in the right job, and that there are also therefore every material and employees should be given a proper place on what they are supposed to do. So the principle calls for order to be seen in a working environment. Uh, Further still, we have stability, or second, lastly, we have stability of tenure. So according to Henry Fayel, he says that in this principle, employees must be given job security to be efficient. Even if an employee goes for a maternity leave, she has to be having the security that when she comes back from her leave, her job will still remain or will still be intact. Okay, not getting worried that in case she goes, she will not find back her job. So lastly is esprit de corps. This is the final last principle according to Henry Fayel, whereby he focuses so much on foster a sense of unity and also looks at the teamwork among employees. He urges that for us to work in a given environment, we must work or we must unify one, we must work in a unified manner, and also we must work as a team so that we can create a harmony or harmonious working environment which is comfortable for everyone regardless of our disparities or regardless of our backgrounds. So what could we, if we are to compare the differences between Henry Fayel and even Tyra Henry management theory, what do they all talk about? Well, when we look at Henry Fayel, we look at him to be the father of the modern management contribution, and he also the 14 management principle and accomplishing the managerial efficiency. To Tyra is also the father. He is the father of scientific management, and he contributed to the 4 management theory, which is number 1, we have replace rule of thumb work methods based on the scientific study of the tasks. Tyra here tells us that in one of his 4 management principles is that the emphasis has to be accurate when we are allocating tasks basing on the we need to thoroughly examine the capabilities of each employees. We shouldn't just replace people, or we shouldn't allocate people to do a task when we don't know their capability. The second principle of Tyra is that he talks of we need to look at we need to cooperate with workers to ensure that the scientifically developed methods are being followed. How do we mean by this? We need to work hand in hand, glove together or towards common goals with employees, not only to improve profitability, but also to look at how we must build or create a very good rapport or a very good relationship among employees. So second still, or third still, another principle according to Tyra, he says that we need to divide work equally between the managers and the workers. We shouldn't make people to be overwhelmed with work, but we should divide it evenly. Lastly, according to Tyra's principle, is we need to concentrate more and productivity, and even productivity based on wages, because people like to be appreciated, they like to be given incentives or wages basing on their productivity. So when we say that Henry Tyra focused so much or contributed to the four principles of management, that is what we are talking about, that at the end of the day, they enhances the overall productivity. More still, on my left-hand side, we are going to, or we say that Henry Fayol concentrated so much that they has to be the top management level, okay? Or we need to concentrate on the top to lower management, sorry, to the top management level. However, Tyra concentrated that when we're looking at management, it has to be concentrated more on the subordinates or on the lower level of management. Further still, Henry suggested that when we look at in his theory, we based on so much that the top management based on the top-down approach. However, in Terra supervisory point of view, it has to also be focused on the bottom upwards approach. So Henry focuses on delivering managerial efficiency, as well as Terra his theory focuses on increasing productivity of labor. So Henry focuses on the best personal experience, as well as Terra is based on an observation and experiment. For you to give somebody a job, you need to observe, and when you observe what they do, and then or maybe the experiments what they are going through, then that is when you can give somebody a task to perform. So in summary, that's all about the difference between both the fathers of scientific and modern theory and modern administrative theory. Further still, we shall look at what we call a bureaucratic management theory. A bureaucratic management theory was developed by Max Weber, and in his theory, it focuses on structuring organization in a hierarchy so that there are clear rules that should govern the entire organization or working environment. So Marx also in his theory, he has the principles, where we look at, they include the following. We have a chain of command, which clearly look, we have a chain of command. We have clear division of labor to employees. We have separation of personal and organizational assets of the owners. We also look how strict and also consistent rules and regulations should be in a workplace. Meticulous record keeping has to be available, and documentation. We also need to look at a selection and promotion of employees based on their performance and their qualifications. So in summary, those are the principles according to Marx, which he discovered that when you're using a bureaucratic theory, we need to follow the following principles that I've just outlined. Furthermore, we have also what we call the classical organization theory. What do we mean by classical organization theory? In this theory, it is a theory that suggests, or it was developed by Chesa, Bernardin, and Mary Parker Falter, whereby they both agreed that this is a theory that views an organization as a machine and also employees as the various parts of that machines. So it looks at the organization to be the machines, and employees are viewed as part of those machines. So it also focuses on centralized authority, labor specialization, incentives to be optimized, productivity in an organization and in a run, and it also drives profits. And further still, classical organizational theory, it also emphasizes so much on social aspect of the organizations. It also looks at the importance of informal organization as well as focusing on the human relations, corporations, leadership modern organization, and emphasizing on teamwork as well as collaboration. The theory, more to that, it has got the principles, where principle number one, we said we have the division of labor, we have the scholar and the functional processes. Number three, we have the structure and the spine of control. When you're looking in a working environment, people have to be controlled. So you need to put rules and regulations, or you need to monitor them to see what they are doing in the working environment. Furthermore, we shall look at another theory of Hawthorne studies, which was developed by Elton Moyo and his colleague. So in this theory, it was designed simply to explore so that we may look at how it is important, or avenues to increase workers' productivities. So it was created simply to look at the avenues that has to increase the workers' productivity in a working environment. It also suggests that workers' productivity is not only based on the physical conditions, but rather it is also denoted that management cares about employees' welfare and wages paid to them. And further still, it also looks at that we need to investigate or we need to do investigation of the environmental factors that may increase to productivities, of which we know in the environment, if it is conducive, if it is not polluted, employees will be more productive to work in that kind of environment. The theory also suggests that we need to look at the discovery of social and psychological influences on employees' behaviors. Some people may behave in a funny way psychologically because where they were groomed, or socially when they are socializing with other people, they adopt such kind of behaviors. So it focuses that we must discover the social and psychological influence on employees' behaviors. It also focuses on the organization, whereby we need to emphasize more on employees' well-being and how they are supposed to be motivated. That is how I say that when we look at why it was suggested, it looks at the employees' welfare and wages which are supposed to be paid to them. Furthermore, we shall also look at another theory which is called the human relation theory. This is a theory which was developed by Elton Moyo, who conducted an experiment designed to improve productivity that laid the foundation for human relation movement. Okay, so in this theory, we say that it also focuses on changing working conditions, like lightening, which could be too much in a working environment, breaking times, which are needed by people because everybody needs to have a break time, like lunch, breakfast. It also focuses that we need to look at the length of the work day. Okay, if it is too much, then people should be given a break depending on what they are doing. So the theory also says that we need to focus on what satisfies the employees, and sometimes what satisfies them to be productive could be the nature of the environment that they are working in. And further still, The theory also says that we should make sure that every change that in every change he tested was meant with an improvement in performance. And ultimately, he concluded that the improvements were not due to the changes, but rather the results of the researcher paying attention to the employees and making them feel valued. So at the end of the day, it is important that we must make sure that employees are valued and they feel comfortable when they are performing their job. Further still, we have also another theory which is called the system management theory. If we look at a system management theory, a system is an entity that is made up of interrelated, interdependent parts. Okay, so the system theory asserts that business consists of components that must work in harmony for a larger system to function optimally. So the organizational structure success, the organization success, therefore, depend on the synergy and the interdependence and the interrelations between the subsystem, because I mentioned that a system is made up of interrelated and it is also made up of interdependent parts. That's why we are saying that it is a synergy where we are looking at the interdependence and interrelations that has to be between the subsystem. So according to this theory, it is also says that employees are the most important components that a company must have. They are the departments, because we believe in a company it must have employees, and it also must have different departments where these employees are going to be, or the work is going to be work grouped depending on the qualifications or the skills that employees are possessing. And also, businesses are units that meant for success. So therefore, that is what we expect to be in a system. So we expect as a manager, you must have a system in place that has to be made up of interrelated and interdependent parts in a working environment. And next theory is what we call the contingency theory or the contagious management theory. The contagious management theory was developed by Frederick Freda, where in his theory, this is the theory that primarily focuses that there is no one management approach that works for every organization. For example, like the theories we have seen, administrative theory might work, scientific might work, and etc., etc. So Fred says that there is no primary focus, that there is no one management theory that works for every organization. Fred also suggests that the leaders' strengths were directly related on how effectively they lead to their team. If a leader has got a very good positive traits where he's encouraging, inspiring, then at the end of the day, we shall see him directing his team members to effectively and efficiently work in a very harmonized way. He also says that there are leadership strengths that apply to every kind of a situation, and that a leader must be flexible to adopt in case change has occurred to an environment. So we expect a leader to have good traits of flexibility in such of a change in a given environment. A leader has to adopt to that new environment such that he can lead the rest of his team members to also adopt in the same manner. So the next theory, it is a theory which we call theory of X and Y. This is a theory whereby it is looked by American social psychologists who was called Douglas M.C. Gregor, and he introduced the theory of X and Y. In his book, he suggests that the human sides of enterprise, where he concluded that two different styles of management are guided by the perceptions of the team members' motivations. So managers here assumes that employees are apathetic or dislike their work using this theory, which is an altruism or an altarian that it based on how a person might not like the work. The theory why is also assumed that we are using it, managers using it, manager uses them that they believe that employees are responsible, they are committed, they shouldn't be waited to be commanded to perform a work because they motivate themselves or they are self motivated. So in a given working environment, such employees, they don't wait to be commanded. They simply are self-motivated because they like what they do, unless the individuals of who are in the Y category. So more to that is that in the Y theory, this is a participative management style that gives a rise to a more collaborative work environment, whereas the theory X is more that leads to to micromanaging, whereby those people they need to be managed, they need to be controlled, they need to be monitored, such that they feel like they feel like they are reminded of what they are supposed to be doing in a given working environment. Further still, we believe that in this theory, it also gives power in from the human relation theory by encouraging interpersonal relationships and also creating a collaborative environment. So employees have power in making decisions. Employees have power to make a collaborative environment which will encourage them to build on or make a very good relationship. Further still, it also gives team members more power in making decisions. They are not going to wait to be told what to do, commanded what to do, and etc. and etc. It also gives mean giving to them more control within their roles. They have control in their roles that they are supposed to do, all allowing them to a greater contribution to a departmental goals and as well as the strategies. Three, when you look at the flatten of the organization hierarchy, research suggests that flattening the hierarchy can increase local innovation and speeds up decision-making process. So this also helps that research has suggested that if flattening the hierarchy can increase the local innovation, it speeds up the decision-making process in the organization. It also, this could mean that we need to get rid of the titles or the senior positions that has to inspire a cohesive and collaborative working environment. We also need to look at a mean of empowering the team leaders with more decision-making capabilities and also eliminating the need to fully move up the chain of command and receive approval on the decisions that they have made. So I think that is my last presentation for today's lecture. Returning back the microphone to you. I'm returning the microphone to you to listen to your comments or opinion on what we have heard. Do I have some questions? Do I have some questions? Just a minute. Hello? Hello?